everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tuong, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far to talk about movies, Christmas, what else? Quarantine. I don't want to talk about that. Never mind. We talk about all the fun stuff in the world. And I have a guest that, I haven't seen in person in a very, very long time, has never appeared on an episode of Talkin Tuong, but has appeared on many episodes of Ranked Top 5 lists of stuff that don't matter. Always coming in with the hottest opinions, very opinionated person, but lovely individual that I cannot wait to talk about the movie of this week, which we'll save for later. We'll tease it out. Tease it out because, as you know, we have other stuff to talk about first on Talkin Tuong. But, of course, I am talking about Desiree Connors Warmington. Hello.
Woo! Hi, Tug. Oh, I'm so happy to see you.
Des, it is so, you are one of my favorite people. I'm not just saying this because you're my guest today, but you're one of my favorite people to talk to because you're always so bubbly. You're always ready to go. Your mind is just like, I just want to tell jokes. So this whole hour of Talkin Tuong is, well, I guess that's a really high bar for you. You're going to have to tell jokes the entire episode.
I mean, they're not like punchline-y jokes, but I just never want to take anything seriously.
Who needs to take things seriously in 2020?
Oh, God. Wouldn't that be nice if we could just truly not be serious for one bloody minute of a day?
Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to not be serious for one bloody hour in this podcast. That's not what people are
here for.
No, they don't want me to be. They don't want serious Tongue and Des. That's not
the news.
Show. That's the news.
Exactly.
No, we talk about other stuff. Des, some people don't know who you are, which is crazy.
Oh, they're not one of my 100 Twitter followers.
No, apparently not. Which is a crime. So
it's
feel
true.
Free.
I'm really good at Twitter.
Feel free to plug your Twitter and your Facebook, I guess.
No, it's okay. My name is Desiree Connors Warmington. I am a member of Crush Improv, which is a long-form improv company that's been running out of Ottawa now for like 13 years. I don't know. Been improvising for a super long time. Love it. Have kids and a regular life as well, like we all do. I'm a respiratory therapist. So it's been a few 8 months, man. It's been a while. But yeah,
you've been doing
because of that.
Yeah, you've been doing the I was going to say the Lord's work, but let's use a different
science. I've been doing
science's work. Science's work. Let's be real here. Yeah. And that must be that. I mean, like, we don't have to get too much into it, but
oh man, it's an exercise in perspective because the pediatric it's not so bad, and so I crave stupid diversion so much more than I think I did before. Like, I don't want to watch anything serious. I don't want to listen to serious podcasts. Like, I want something animated.
Something
stupid fart jokes.
Positive.
I'm into something that's otherworldly.
Des, I think you might have posted about this. Maybe not. I could be completely wrong. But I just started watching Ted Lasso last night. And did you post something about Ted Lasso the other day? Okay. I think you might have like Inceptioned me because I watched like 5 episodes back to back, and I was just thinking like, this is a beautiful, positive show. I love it so much.
Yeah. I've been craving feel-good media. So I moved heaven and earth to get the Saved by the Bell reboot as well, which is very hard to get in Canada unless you want to pay money for it like a fucking chump. Yeah. And then and Ted Lasso is really good. Like, I've just been scooping up the good stuff and putting it in my body. So Ted Lasso, my heart grew 3 sizes. Made me cry. Like,
good.
Great show.
Sorry, I went on a tangent. Go back to you. Okay. People want to hear more about you, not Ted.
More about me. Geez, I don't know, man. I think I've mentioned this. Like, I'm an improviser. I always have stupid ideas brewing. But normally I have a team of 5 other beautiful people who we can banter this stuff about. But, left in isolation didn't work out so well. So over the summer with my brother, I wrote a Christmas movie screenplay that was based on a dumb Facebook idea that people liked. And I had the most fun. Fun.
Amazing.
it was called Sandra Claus, and it's the story of Santa's ex-wife on the rebound after the divorce. And it's friggin' great.
Are you going to pitch it to somebody?
We did. We pitched it to Netflix. Or we submitted it. We submitted it, and they wrote a very polite rejection letter. But it's their loss, man, because in the development process, Al and I came up with the fact that it's actually one of 3 movies. It's a trilogy.
And then a cinematic universe afterwards.
Absolutely it is. So it's their loss. But that was super fun, like sending like script samples out to people, getting feedback, making changes, arguing with my brother about all this stuff. That was really fun. And then once that sort of was done, it's just trying to finding like stupid little bits and stuff to do just to keep my comedy brain churning, because that's where all my pleasure centers are.
Right. Okay. So those are the things that keep you happy is ways
Absolutely.
for you to be able to, because you can't get on the stage and get that the audience woos and claps and laughters anymore. At least like not in person. You can do it online, not the same. But now you're trying to find other ways to really channel that into something that
I just want to be silly.
Yeah.
I want to be silly, and I want people to take a moment and laugh at something stupid that I said.
Comedy is really important right now, and a lot of people are like, we got to be serious all the time, but like we need a break from that stuff desperately, right? We need something that brings us joy.
Absolutely. And those things are still there, and you're allowed to enjoy them. But I feel like there's an energy on social media too that gets so mad. Like I got in a Twitter fight just yesterday with a gentleman who like a comedian had posted this thing about how PEI is doing well during coronavirus. They've only got 7 cases, and their head doctor is like this super fox, and she did a press conference dressed as Mrs. Claus, and she looked rad, and it was rad. And all these people were like, what's up? I'm going to move to PEI. And like, oh, imagine Doug Ford in that outfit. Like, it was just funny, and people building on each other's joy. And then this one guy slips in, and he's like, oh yeah, PEI is all smug, but they only passed abortion rights in 2017. Like in this thread of happy people, this friggin' ding dong slides in, and I just jumped all over it. I was like, oh wow, great little piece of trivia that has nothing to do with any of what anybody's talking about.
And then it just went back and forth for a while.
Yeah, and then he deleted all his tweets afterwards. So I think I won.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So that is, I was going to say, does anyone win? But you do win if they deleted everything they said before.
That's right.
Oh, amazing. Do you often get into social media arguments with people?
I have gotten, willingly, I've probably gotten into only about 3. I've been on Twitter for 8 years. But when I do, and I can see, like, I don't sympathize with trolls, but I can see how people get obsessed with the last word. Like, I want the last word. Yeah. So when he deleted his tweets, I was like, oh, it felt so good. It was like heroin. Oh, yeah.
Wow,
but I'm like, I'm out there to protect other people's joy, man. Like, I understand there's no thing that's 100% pure and good that we are allowed to fully enjoy. Like, I understand there's always going to be a shitty angle, but let the people have their cookies, right? Like, right. People are just trying to spread a little bit of happiness. Don't go in there with your stupid mic drop just because you want to make sure that no one's happy.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't say it better myself. Well, Des, we have so much to go through today. In fact, not really, because we're recording this, spoilers, on Christmas Eve.
Ooh, probably the most like magical day because of all the anticipation.
Well, I was going to say, Des, like for me, our family has always celebrated, I know this episode is releasing post-Christmas, but it's whole December's Christmas. Christmas Eve has always been my Christmas. I've never really celebrated on Christmas Day before. So,
shit.
Yeah. Oh, no. So it's Christmas for me, but
oh my gosh,
Laura's family, obviously, very traditional, being white.
We whites love doing things the same every year.
For some reason, you always want to do it on Christmas Day. You white. We take
it seriously.
So I'll be celebrating Christmas Eve with my sister and like zooming in my family from Ottawa. And then Christmas Day, I'll spend it with Laura's family. So it will be a double Christmas type of thing.
Well, I'm sorry you don't get to see your family, man. That stinks.
It's fine. The dog would not do well in that situation. I'm already afraid what's going to happen. I was like, oh boy, 2 days back to back. What a stressful situation for the new dog.
Oh, puppy. Oh, well,
know.
He'll figure it out. He's a dog.
Yeah. Will he? We'll see. Something will happen.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Something will happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Des, we have to talk about some of the things that came out this week, the week of Christmas. Now, we're going to miss a couple news stories because, again, this is Christmas Eve. But, of course, we only talk about stories that they're fluff pieces. They're pop culture headlines that I found from IGN.com. I've never read these before. And I'm going to read you some headlines, and you tell me how you feel.
Okay.
Number 1, Super Nintendo World. Have you heard about this?
I can use my imagination.
Okay. In Japan, Universal Studios Japan, they are opening up a Nintendo World theme park.
Oh, God damn it.
Opening it up in February, which is a weird time. And there's going to be a Mario Kart ride. There's going to be, you're going to wear this bracelet that you can interact with different aspects of the park and like do power-ups and stuff. How does this make you feel?
Oh my God. How is this not already a thing? I can't believe that this is just happening now. Like Mario has been around for as long as I could consume media. Right. So that this is just starting now to me. It's just, Japan. Where you been, buddy?
Where you been?
Oh my God. This sounds like heaven on earth. I wonder in my brain, because so much of this is digital media, like, is it just a series of warehouses where you put on your Oculus and just sort of sit on a chair and experience it?
I think,
or are you actually like in a cart?
The cart,
trying not to drive off the Rainbow Road.
The cart, I believe, is like a roller coaster type situation, but you're wearing an AR helmet that allows you to do stuff as well. I don't entirely understand, but it sounds cool.
I picture it being like just a bunch of AR stuff, but no, man, they're just gonna print their own money. That is super rad.
I want to go.
Is Donkey Kong is a Nintendo property?
Yeah. Donkey Kong.
Whatever they come up with for Donkey Kong, I just want to know about that. That's all I want to know about.
They're going to get a man in a hairy costume.
To just whip barrels at people.
Yeah. This guy petitioned really hard. He's just like, no, everything else can be fake, but I need to be...
Have to be real wood barrels. Yeah. And it's not a specific location in the park. He's just walking through the park. Just whipping barrels at people.
Yeah, whenever he's bored... He comes out, starts whipping barrels at children.
Yeah, gotta jump over him.
I want to do this, and apparently you find it's like interactive in the way that you find 3 keys throughout the entire amusement park. And if you find all 3 keys, and you have a special battle with Bowser, and it's like
Are you serious? It's a quest while you're there. That's so smart.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's why the Japanese waited 30 years to do this, is because they're like, we are not pussyfooting around. This is going to be the best experience of your life.
That's right. They're like, the technology's not there yet. We need it to be perfect.
And so many people are taking to video games for escapism too. Like, they're going to be sold out for years and years and years.
Except
good for
when
them.
They release, like February seems a weird time to bring people to their amusement park.
Yes. Well.
yeah. Well. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, yeah. It might be a spooky chapter in the COVID anthology, or it'll be an example of like heightened technology where their screening is crazy, and we'll get to see what they've been sitting on. They'll be like, we have special scanning technology where we can tell exactly.
It's Nintendo. It's Japan. They probably do have that already.
Oh yeah. To announce that they're opening in February, like they're probably going to open in February. So you gotta have it figured out.
Maybe like Donkey Kong, the guy who plays Donkey Kong in the park, is throwing vaccines at people, and that's his job.
That's right. You go down a tube, and then you like swim around in antibodies, and then you can get into the park.
Yeah. Next news story here that I got for you is Christopher Walken says he has never sent an email. He has never owned a computer or a cell phone, and he has never sent an email or text to anyone.
Good for him, because the Christopher Walken experience cannot be captured in text. If I was getting a communication from Christopher Walken and it was a paragraph written on an email, I would be like, fuck, I'm calling him. I want to hear the voice. I need him to be like, Desiree. I can't do Christopher Walken.
Okay, wait,
how are you?
Let's hear the best Christopher Walken.
How are you? No, I can't. But yeah, that would be the most disappointing thing in the world, is to get a personalized communication from Christopher Walken, but to have it in 2 dimensions. Even on the phone, I think I would be sad. So I get it, man. He's protecting his brand.
Right?
He's protecting his brand.
Unless he could do voice memo emails where he can be like, I've tried doing Christopher Walken for years. I start and I like just completely bail, right? Desiree.
It's hard to do unscripted because the way he puts his emphasis in weird words, you need to sort of know what the end of the sentence is before you start it. So it's hard to do improvised. But no, man, that would be, I get it. Also, he's like super old.
Yeah, what is it? He's looked like he's been 70 for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Since Pulp Fiction, he's looked like he's been a dusty old man. Yeah. And as far as things that being super rich can afford you, not having to answer emails is pretty high on my list. If I was super rich, unless it was like something from my buddy, but then pick up the phone. That's fine. But to not have to be like, let's circle back and run on, like emails to his manager, like who's he even emailing? He's Christopher Walken.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now I'm picturing like a skit where it's him like using technology or something like that. And that would be, there's some comedy in there somehow. Des,
he's just shouting at it. Computer, send email.
That's pretty good. I like that. That's pretty good. Email. More cowbell.
We're awful.
We're so bad. We're so bad. Yeah. Okay, here's a headline. I don't entirely understand it, but let's see where it brings us. Alien civilizations destroyed themselves through progress, study claims. New studies suggest that alien civilizations destroyed themselves through progress, meaning your galaxy could be full of dead alien civilizations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That tracks, man. Like as a current alien civilization, meaning us, in the midst of doing that, doesn't that make total sense? Like what are they studying? Like video games and movies? I don't
know. Again, this is my first time reading this. Let me see if I can pull something from the last paragraph here.
But I mean, like space is an exercise in the infinity of the universe, right? Like it goes on forever and it's been around forever and it'll be around forever. So literally anything is possible. So yeah, if we, the dum-dums that we are like midway through destroying our universe, then it tracks. I think it's absolutely true. And we can see microcosms of that by like animal species that have taken themselves out through stupid choices. So yeah. that feels like not worth writing down.
No, I don't know. I mean, like maybe if I read the rest of this, which I won't.
That's what headlines are for.
Headlines should encapsulate the entire thing. Don't make me read the entire article for the rest of it.
I don't have time.
Next. Here we go. France and China are reportedly developing biologically engineered super soldiers, kind of like the Terminator. Thoughts?
It's spooky. I would love, like, if I had to choose, I would totally ride with the French super soldier, because I feel like if it's designed with any type of the French ethos in mind, he would be like susceptible to cigarettes and a lot of breaks. He'd just be like, we're gonna have a coffee and a cigarette, and then we'll go like trample all over the civilization. Without sounding super racist,
of course,
the Chinese have always been pretty military oriented.
Sure, of course.
So this is probably something they've gotten. They're like,
I feel like we
have this.
They probably had it years ago, and now we're just discovering it in this headline.
They're just easing us into the idea that don't be surprised when, like, out of the ocean comes marching a billion Chinese super soldiers
all
onto
like
the
Arnold
banks of North America. They've got to look like something that won't frighten us. So why not one of our greatest action heroes?
I think he would scare me. In his like angry state, he would scare me. So in this end of the paragraph here, it says that
spooky, though.
Some of the specific tech being worked on are brain microchips, bionic eyes, super hearing, health implants, enhanced limbs, exoskeleton legs, synthetic blood, and pain immunity.
Oh, Oh, see, in my brain, they were making like androids. They weren't just implanting, no doubt, prisoners. They're for sure using prisoners.
Oh, they have to, right? Like that's
like, there's no other way. Oh, okay, that's crazy. So about 20 years ago, I did a stupid paper on superpowers and where we're at in real life science to support basic superpowers.
That doesn't sound stupid. That sounds amazing.
It was rad. It was super rad. And I got a lot of my information from an article on Wired that you can still access online. It's really cool. But so like MIT, it was mainly just the North American progress for this stuff, and like implants to make you jump higher, like really stupid stuff, but also the super soldier stuff was built in there for sure. And so to know that I wrote that paper like nearly 20 years ago. So, and China's already going to be ahead of us. So yeah, there are people running around out there. There's probably like sleeper agents that they're just going to like play a tone, and then everybody's going to spring to life. And
boy.
You know, what was that thing about aliens outdoing themselves with progress?
Yes, that's going to happen. Yeah.
That's what this is.
Oh, it'd be Chris Evans. That's the thing. It's not going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're going to run around with a bunch. Yeah, it'd be a bunch of Chris Evanses. And who else is cute that is non-threatening? The Palm Clementif, the one who is like in I'm miming. You're not on your video. Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
The Mantis.
Seem like Mantis. She's very sweet and doesn't seem like much, but like she fucking touches you and she can control your mind.
Oh God,
that's what's happening.
Well, I guess if I'm going down by her and Chris Evans, there's worse ways to go.
Oh yeah, I'm walking into that with open arms. Give me a hug, Chris Evans. And then snaps my neck real quick. I'm all right with that.
As long as it's quick.
Yeah.
Des, last news story that I have for you today, although I should have just tied this into the space thing because it also seems kind of obvious, but here we go. Scientists confirm the negative health effects of humans traveling to space. There's just... That's it. There's negative health effects of humans traveling to space.
Here in the city of Ottawa, we have the Museum of Aviation and I'm going to say space travel, but that's not what it's called.
Yep.
And so there's a little mock-up of the International Space Station that you can cruise through. And like 9 out of 10 of the paragraphs on that wall are about how space is bad for you. So I was like, you need to exercise a ton because no gravity means your muscle mass decreases and like your GI tract slows down. So like this isn't a lot of this news.
Yeah. What is this news this week? Who's writing the news?
1996.
Let me just make sure. Nope. This article was posted today.
Yeah. So I feel like the average schmo knows that like once you're in space for a long time, shit gonna get fucked.
Yeah,
so you gotta be careful.
I mean, this article goes into like more detail about it, but it's just kind of like, obviously, I can't. I need to wear a whole spacesuit to be in space. Obviously, it's bad for you.
Absolutely, they have to control a lot of stuff, and that's just physical. Like your mental state.
Oh my God.
You're gonna get space crazy. I didn't come up with the term space crazy, so you know it's a thing.
Of course. Now, Des, as the resident space expert on this podcast here.
Oh, dude. Let's talk planets later.
Okay. What is the shortest space, what do we call it? Space, I'm trying to say adventure, quest.
Yeah.
What's the word? The space mission. That's the word. What is the shortest space mission astronauts can have?
Oh, I think one of the ones that was like a 3-day, like if you're doing a shipment or whatever, like what's the word? Supplies run up to the ISS, the International Space Station. I think that's 3 days. Okay.
I thought they were much longer. I thought like a short space mission would be like a year or something like that, but I don't know.
6 months. Well, so my good friend, Commander Chris Hadfield, who I did some research for because I wrote a sketch that involved Commander Chris Hadfield. He was up for 6 months and that was long.
Okay.
Now that people are talking about going further into, I don't want to say deep space because it's not deep space, but like further into space, things will get longer.
Venus,
but the media has given us the impression that like you're out there for 18 months, but I think 6 months is probably more normal. And you can do short little jaunts, little mini breaks, long weekends up to space and back. But I have zero authority on this.
Okay. Well, we're the experts on today's podcast, so what you say is true. So
great, perfect. Podcast law.
Podcast
Podcast
law.
science.
Podcast tongue law, more like. I don't know. It's really
Hashtag tongue law.
If you like that joke,
just you wait.
Tweet us. Yeah. Or tweet us or get in an argument with Des on Twitter. That's the best way.
Yeah, I won't stop.
All right, Des. Enough of all these, out of date headlines that I've been pulling.
Right.
How about we get
the
into
only one that was like exciting was the Nintendo World one.
Yeah, right. Other than that, it's just
awesome.
like space is bad for you. Duh, lava is hot.
I know. Oh my God, lava's so hot.
Des, you picked the movie of the week. Now we're still in Christmas territory here. Can you please introduce the movie of the week?
I have not met a single person in my life who hasn't liked this movie, and maybe it's because the zeitgeist is such that you can't speak out against it. It's like one of those things. But this movie is perfect from beginning to end.
Wow.
And I'm always surprised at how charming it is, because it's remembered so much for action, but a little bit for comedy, but it's just such a charming, perfect action comedy. The first, I guess, of its kind. It is I don't know what year it was made.
Let me look really quick.
1988. So I was 6. That's crazy. Wow. 1988 movie, Die Hard.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
He's an easy guy to like.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
And a hard man to kill. Bruce Willis. Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
Die Hard. What a dumb name. What a dumb name.
What is it's dumb name? Wait. We watched Die. What was the other one? There's 4 movies of Die Hard, right?
Yeah. So there's Die Hard. There's I think the second one is Die Hard 2, and then the third one is With a Vengeance. I don't know the order. And then there's 2 more.
There's 2 more? Die Hard 3 is Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard 4 is Live Free or Die Hard. And
then the 5th one is
A Good Day to Die Hard.
Oh, bleh, bleh. Oh,
Are
God.
any of those other Die Hard movies good? Do you know?
I think it's diminishing returns. I think the best one is the first one. The second one, he's still like a charismatic guy who makes mistakes and fumbles. And then by the third, he's like a robot automaton with very little human traits. And then by the 5th one, when he's a dusty old man, he is just a cardboard cutout of Bruce Willis. It's just being moved around from various locations. He might as well be an android. It is his performance gets so soulless, and it is very disappointing because we all remember, since everybody watches Die Hard once a year, you remember his glory. So to watch anything else that has Bruce Willis in it, you're like, what the fuck? You were so fun.
You're right. Bruce Willis, especially because I forget, because I always imagine Bruce Willis being like a huge dick. From like all of the Kevin Smith stories I've ever heard about Bruce Willis, and in this movie, it's like he gives a shit. Like it's because it's his first like real shot at being an action movie star. So he's emoting. He's doing face stuff. He's charming. Like there's a lot to his character.
Yeah, and he suffers, which is something he refuses to do in the later movies. Like there's moments in the first movies where he's like, oh, come on. And he like begs for his life to an unseen God. Like the part where he's on the roof and he's like, please God, like please don't let me die. Like there is no way that 64-year-old Bruce Willis in a movie now, who is so much closer to death just with every passing breath, would ever try to make that bargain. Because the weakness is no longer allowed. And the weakness is what makes you really root for John McClane.
Yeah.
Because even though he is like kicking ass in a very unrealistic way, every moment that he's limping or like he's dragging that foot along and you see like liters of blood behind him.
So much blood.
Yeah. You're like, oh, come on, John. You've got so much to live for. And then that's the other thing too. By the 5th movie, he's estranged from his wife. He has shitty relationships with his kids. Like all of the anchors that made him someone you wanted to win in the first 2 movies are gone. He's just
crusty old man. That's
it's a bummer.
Des, just on Die Hard 1 here, what is your relationship with this movie?
My relationship is, as with a lot of early pop culture, I think it comes through my older brother. So that movie, I was 6 when that came out, so I probably didn't start watching it till I was in my preteens, and it would have been because my brother and my dad were watching it. And the first few times I watched it, I didn't have the discerning palette for action comedy, I guess, that I have now, but it definitely laid my foundation for being obsessed with these kinds of movies, because after Die Hard came the Lethal Weapon trilogy. Oh yeah. Which was very similar and had a very like charming, like fuck Mel Gibson to the ends of the earth, but in Lethal Weapon he had this very charming, like relatable, damaged thing going on that everybody loved. They gave him his black sidekick right up beside him instead of them being over walkie-talkies. But it was very identifiable. And then from there, like, I just love action movies. I love them to have more of a human element to them. So that's where your quippy, stressful, improvising kind of energy comes from. But I've watched this movie every year, probably since my late teens. Like, watched it in university, got to introduce it to people who hadn't seen it before, which to me was amazing. I definitely love it more than I should, considering it's just like a stupid movie. But every time I watch it, it's like listening to a symphony again, where you're like, oh, look at this, pay attention to that. And when Netflix came out with this sort of behind the scenes special of movies that made us about Die Hard, that to me was like getting a backstage pass to meet my
God, that was a really interesting, and we'll get to that for sure. But that I'm glad I watched that. I'm glad I watched that, because I don't think I would have appreciated the movie to the level that I do now without watching that. And I'll tell you, my relationship with Die Hard is that Die Hard has always been one of those movies that I didn't grow up watching. I was just exhausted by the conversation of, and we'll have to probably talk about it. Is it a Christmas movie? Is it not a Christmas movie? All that stuff. We'll get to it. But instead, I was just so annoyed by that conversation that I was kind of like just put off by watching it. So my relationship with Die Hard is I've seen it once in my life up until yesterday, second viewing. Didn't remember anything going through it. So this.
How old were you, would you say, when you saw it the first time?
Oh God, I was like definitely in my like early teens. I'm 30 now. Early teens. So like really no nostalgia, no nothing going into this movie. Don't remember the beats of this movie. It's like almost pretty much completely fresh, except for like the very key, like, you know, Yippee and all this other stuff. Like that stuff obviously always
it's a very quotable movie. So a lot of the time that's the only thing people know about it.
Right? So watching it now was very interesting.
What did you think?
Yeah, I think, okay, so there's things that I really, really like about the movie. And I would say my overall takeaway, positive, very positive. Good. Things that I think, you know, probably don't age well, you know? Like,
no, but you know what I do like about Die Hard insofar as it not aging well is in the first like 3 minutes of the movie, he's got a gun on a plane and he lights a cigarette in an airport. Yeah,
I wrote that down.
Immediately you're like, whoa, this was in the 80s.
I love how they talk about like all the fancy stuff in the limo. Like this limo has a VHS player.
And you know that they didn't intend to give you such a clear snapshot of the time this movie took place in, but it does a really good job being like, guys, no one has cell phones, or like they're very limited.
Or the touch screen where he's just like, wow, look at this touch screen monitor. And he's freaking out about it. He's just like, wow, does this also do this? And it's like, oh my God.
Right? It's a time capsule. So you can at least put your brain in a like, this is 30 years ago.
I love that. I really do. And I love those type of movies because it's just like what they think advanced technology is. They had no idea. And it's just really good. Like the things that don't age well, I would say, are like, although the female character is, his wife is better than others, I would say.
Better kind of
than others. There's like a few things I'm just like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like he just like touches the poster of the naked woman as he walks by and stuff that. There's some stuff, but it's like
there's overall,
some boobs. There's some boobs. I'm fine with it. But overall, like it's still like pretty good. And, like, you know, it was made in 1988. You got to give it some passes, you know?
Yeah, that's true. A few things that I sort of put in my brain is like, it's not racist, which movies made in the 80s, you got to be like, wow, look at that. That's not racist.
Yeah.
The representation is pretty okay.
Pretty
Like,
okay.
obviously, you're going to have an Asian CEO, but he's got an impeccable English speaking voice, so
Yeah.
they're not like mining that for laughs. You've got your black hacker, which
So funny.
It's got to be something.
The hacking in that movie is so good because it's just so dumb. Like the images that pop up that basically might as well just say hacking now. Like it's just such
That's
bad.
right. Like clickety clackety clickety clackety. Just hold on. Yeah. So there is a bit of representation, which again, okay. They chose their bad guys as Anglo-Saxons, which is also rare. They weren't like dusty, sort of amorphous beige type men that they're going to call Saudis or anything like that.
Sure.
Like,
Yes.
These are European, like, so it, there's a lot of ways where this movie could have taken a hard left and automatically excluded itself from being a classic because it just wouldn't have aged well.
Yeah.
So that's lucky. But I just truly feel that that's just lucky.
Yeah. And for sure, like I
of all the white guys that made this movie, I don't think anybody was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Don't give him an offensive accent.
But that's why I'm just like, it's very impressive because, like, like the very minor problems that I have about this movie of not aging well, quote unquote, are like, well, it's pretty good for its time. Like, and it's still pretty good now. So like, I can let those things slip.
Yeah.
What'd you think about, like, for me, another thing that popped up was how dumb the police were.
Yeah.
Like, they're really dumb in this movie.
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, it was as though no one knew how the police conducted their business. People just guessed at what cops did and how cops behaved. So that I believe he is the police chief of all of Los Angeles. Which is a huge, and in the 80s, like, there was crime in LA, you guys. It wasn't as though it was just like this, podunk town in Arizona. This guy should have had, like, his wits about him. And the fact that he's so dismissive about what's happening, and he's like, oh, you know what? It's probably it's no big deal. It's not, you know what I bet it is? It's not, don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, someone probably just threw themselves off the building because they're depressed. It's like, no, there's gunshots. It's a coincidence.
Yeah. That's a police officer's favorite thing is like, oh yeah, everything's a coincidence. Like, that's the opposite of what police work is.
Yeah.
So that guy's a big dumb dummy.
Well, I just started laughing because you get Powell who goes in and who ends up being like a very significant character, but he goes in, waltzes in, and he's like, meh, whatever, and he walks away, and then for some reason the bad guys start shooting, even though they shouldn't have started shooting him. I don't understand that. Like,
gun happy.
They were gun happy. Like he was getting away. There wouldn't have been any police on them if they didn't shoot.
Yeah.
And then Powell calls in the chief guy, who's also very dismissive. And then I feel like two more tiers of police come in that I'm like the feds come in, and then these other people come in, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of dumb police here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It is. It's not a movie that instills faith in the police, but like very few movies actually do. In all of these movies, it's like the lone wolf fixes the problem in spite of the police. So at least this movie's got Powell, who's like a grunt, a man on the ground, who they gift with a really impressive backstory, considering the fact that he's like just some dude.
I was impressed by that little nugget of information that he shot a kid when he was younger, and then they were able to like wrap that up with the last shot.
why he's so good at his job, but still just a beat cop. That's the thing about this movie is it builds so many layers into the story that help make it believable, but they all come from a really realistic place. I love that we don't know anything about these bad guys. I feel like that would have been the big undoing, is like, they just want money. They want money because bad guys want money, but it's not like, I used to be in the, whatever, Foreign Legion, and I watched an American.
That, right? Like they kind of have, like Alan Rickman has he was like that group of people, he was like dismissed from like another radical group or something like that.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, right.
There's that, but there's like very little nuggets of that. So
that's it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just be Alan Rickman, man. Like, I buy it the minute I see your face and hear your voice, that you have evil intentions.
He's so good at
that. Beautifully done. Alan Rickman. There's so many, like, I know the actress who plays Holly Gennaro, like, she doesn't get a whole ton of airtime, but And you find out through the documentary that Bruce Willis was the one who actually advocated for her, which is even better, because when you hear her talking, and I've seen this movie so many times, she speaks like him. And it's not just because she has a Jersey accent, because she doesn't really, like, she's flattened it out, but she has that sarcasm, and she has like the cadence of his delivery down. They talk the same, which is an amazing little piece of observation, considering the fact that, like, these two people are supposed to be far apart, whatever, but like, she's got his snark, which is a totally
like,
recognizable partnership
confidence.
thing.
Like, she has, like, she is a very, she doesn't fuck around, I guess. Like,
no.
she's
you can see why they would be together, and you could see why they wouldn't last.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What are your other favorite moments of this movie, or other things that you really liked about the making of, or just the movie in general?
So the again, I've said this time and time again, because a lot of my favorite action movies are super contrived in order just to keep the movie going. And the example I use is a movie that I love is Speed, where they keep solving problems, and then they have to create ridiculous follow-up problems to make this movie like an hour and 45 minutes.
Sure.
Whereas this movie, it's all in its building. The problems are realistic. And then you find out through watching the behind the scenes thing that the problems were born from the building. Like, the stunt coordinator, the writer, the producers walked through the building and were like, this staircase, let's shoot action here. And like, this empty room with all the glass, let's explode all the glass. Like, they were truly being informed by the location, which makes it seem so much more realistic. And it's not like, we've got to shut down, like, the elevator isn't going to stop, like all that crazy bullshit that you get in so many other movies. Like, none of that is here. It's just a really heightened, tense situation because he's stuck and he's trapped.
Definitely recommend, once again, we've already mentioned this, but watch that thing on Netflix. It is so insightful.
It's so cool. It makes you really appreciate this movie.
Yeah, because I was just like, it's not like the whole story of Bruce Willis doing his own first stunt, like off the building, and Alan Rickman falling, and that was a real fall and stuff, and there was a real terror in his eyes when he's falling. It's like, that's a cool piece of nugget of information there. Des, are you talking? I don't hear you anymore. Oh,
yeah, sorry. A kid called my kid on the iPad, and I had to hang up on her. But it was a lot more, what I was saying was, like, it's a lot more guerrilla filmmaking, where they are sort of making decisions on the fly. Like, the whole helicopter scene, they had to shoot it just like the one time. So you had to set up cameras literally everywhere to get all those angles.
2 hours. They had 2 hours because they were pissing off everybody in the neighborhood for all the explosions they've been doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the work with miniatures. But my favorite thing that I keep coming back to is Bruce Willis's performance, which is why it's so heartbreaking that he's turned into this piece of trash actor, because he talks to himself in a way that seems realistic, instead of, sometimes people are just like narrating their action just so that there's continuity and people know what he's thinking. But like, he's in a room and he's like, come on, like, all right, think, like that kind of stuff, which is self-talk that like every human being does. But in these movies, like, we've now in the last 12 years, action heroes have gone back to being these impervious to pain super soldiers. Like your Liam Neeson in the Taken series, John Wick, he's like always knows what to do. He can do anything with anything. They're unstoppable behemoths of force and action. And like, they get shot in a limp, but they're never like, which is what John McClane does.
Yeah, you're right. And like that I guess that episode of that, what is that episode? What is it called?
The movies that made us. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was talking about, because I didn't realize that like all the movies beforehand were like Rambo and Terminator, Predator, and all these like robot human beings, men who can just do anything. And how all of these famous people turned down the role of John McClane because they're like basically calling him like a soft,
Yeah,
Burt
he's
Reynolds,
a wuss.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinatra, I think they mentioned.
Well, Sinatra
Stallone.
was just too old. But Stallone, nobody wanted to do it because he was weak. He was a soft man who hides. And he does spend, that was one thing I noticed about, sorry, this kid keeps trying to talk to my kid.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
So much of this movie is people like staring at the infrastructure of a building. like walking slowly down a hall and staring at a vent, or walking slowly down a hall and like looking around a corner. It's a lot of quiet staring. But
it's almost as if the building is a character itself. No, I'm just kidding. But the poster is just the building.
But that's what you do.
Yeah,
that's right. Because don't put Bruce's face on it. But and I love the writing. It's funny, and every time I watch it, I get a new favorite line of dialogue. Like there's the obvious ones where he's crawling through the vent and he's like, "Come out to the coast, we'll have a few laughs." And Yippee obviously. Yeah. But there's a part near the end where he wraps the chain around the blonde bad guy's neck, and that guy, during that scene when they're fighting their way up the stairs, and again, like they saw the stairs, they wanted to use the stairs. John McClane is like, "Motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna fucking cook you, and I'm gonna fucking eat you." Yeah. So he's saying this to this guy as he's pulling him up the stairs. Like, that's amazing action dialogue from a smarmy idiot type guy.
It's crazy.
I love that. Like, I've never heard that before. Yeah,
he's every little bit is clever. The things that he says to, like, you know, it's actually pretty serial killer-ish, the way that John McClane does a few things. Yeah. Like he like leaves, like he writes like "ho ho ho" on that guy that he killed with a sweater. I'm like, that's pretty fucked up. He says, "You should have heard your brother squeal when I broke your brother's neck," or something like that. And I'm like, that's a pretty fucked up thing to say to your like. Like,
and it's interesting. I would love to be like, so were those moments born because, you know, he's trying to be tough and frightening? He needs to put himself out as this like unstoppable force, so he's acting cruel, or has he snapped? Did he snap early? Did he snap hard? And he's just like, all of these people are expendable to me. I'm gonna murder anybody who comes around this corner, and I'm not gonna think twice about it.
Snap Hard is the spin-off movies that we're gonna be getting.
As soon as bullets are fired, he's like, "Huh, he's gonna kill a bunch of guys."
A favorite line of mine was, "No fucking shit, lady. What does it sound like? I'm ordering a pizza." It's like when he's calling I was just like, those people, it's just like, why are they so like passe about this guy calling this hotline? It's like, yes, emergencies only. And he's just like, "It is an emergency." She's like, "Well, you're fucking with me. It's only for emergencies." It's like, what?
What else are people saying? Like, you have to come up my delivery is.
I wonder what I would love to hear, like someone else call in and hear what an actual emergency sounds like to that person. Like, I just need to know. I just need to know.
That's it. It's as though the city of Los Angeles, which has constantly for decades had a very long history of violence, had never come across violence before. No one knows what to do with gunshot. Like, they got that crazy. Once SWAT rolls in and you've got your tank and all that stuff, but they don't have like the low level amount of stress. They have no idea how to process that. There's a line where Holly Gennaro is sort of still like, she's being held captive by a man who clearly has killed a lot of people and like point blank shot her boss, and she's mouthing off. Which, like, hot damn, Holly. You've got cojones on you.
Well, Ellis, that guy sucks.
And she calls him, that guy sucks.
That guy sucks. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Buddy, I'm your buddy.
I hate that guy.
I hate him. But I mean, like, her boss, who is just like some poor old CEO who got off.
That guy.
That guy. That was sad. But she's mouthing off, and she calls him like just a petty thief. And Hans turns to her and she's like, "I am an exceptional thief." He like takes umbrage to the fact that she's like taking the piss out of him. He's like, "Listen, I'm good at this. I know it might not seem that I am, because single-handedly your husband is undoing all of this, but I'm actually a remarkable thief."
Now, I have not seen the other Die Hards. I don't think it's a big spoiler. Is Alan Rickman in the other ones, or is he dead?
No.
He did die. I didn't watch the other ones.
But he dropped like 70 stories.
But it's an action movie.
That man is dust.
Listen, they've killed so many characters in Fast and Furious, and now they're just like, you know what? They actually survived.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose that's true. That's another good example of a movie that needs to become increasingly ridiculous to justify its runtime. But that's what you're there for. No. Alan, it's the end of Alan Rickman. I haven't watched any of the other ones in a long time. I think there might be a crony or a henchman that shows up for justice or fucking whatever. But I no, it's the end of Alan Rickman. And
there's no like
as
Hans Gruber Jr. or something like that. There's no.
No,
like...
I feel like one of the blonde Germany guys has a brother. I don't know. Can we take callers? Callers? I don't remember, because again, like I barely remember the second one. And I saw the fifth one in theaters.
Why?
Like the hopeful dumbass that I am. There's so much goodwill from Die Hard that I went to see it in theaters, and it was just bad. They gave him, now his son is like special forces or whatever, and they've got a bad relationship.
Of course.
It's so pathetic.
Do they mend it at the end? Are they like
probably not, because they're both total alpha emotionless pieces of shit guys. Like they're gonna save the world, and that's what's happened now.
Yeah,
is that John McClane has to save the world because of course he's now he's risen in the ranks, whatever. So they have to go to Chernobyl or some bullshit. It's quite ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of already talked about this many times, but I just want to hammer home just like how like the movies that made us talk about how special John McClane is because of his vulnerability, his jokes, his all this other stuff. And it's just, once again, just it just seems like Bruce Willis missed the point at some point when he started making the other ones. He's just like, no, I'm an
action star.
I want to do the movies before Die Hard and be like that cookie cutter stereotype of like the boring hero. So.
I wonder if that also, I mean, I don't need to be an apologist for Bruce Willis because I don't give two shits about him, but the way action movies changed, like the way they got filmed changed. And if that has something to do with it, because in this movie, again, they're doing a lot of on location stuff, so I'm sure a lot of stuff was done in like 2 or 3 takes because you don't want to reset a bunch of times. Things always look better raw. And then maybe fast forward 10-12 years, he's doing Die Hard movies on sound stages in front of green screens. He's got to do 40 takes. They reset the nuance in his line readings gets lost with every repetition.
Sure.
Like that might be a bit of a part of it, but also he's just a fucking piece of wood, man. Like there's no feeling. I doubt there was ever any nuance to begin with, but it's those thing. Little, it's like, it's the facial tics and the things that make him seem like a real guy. And also he'd been humping as a comedian, as a comedic actor for so long that it's hard to control your eyebrows when like on TV, you get that close up and you got to make the face,
Yeah, there was a Kevin Smith story from years and years and years ago, although apparently Bruce Willis is a little bit better now, but where Bruce Willis at one point when they were filming Cop Out, the movie that Kevin Smith made, with I forget who else was in that movie, Tracy Morgan, I'm pretty sure. And, Kevin Smith wanted to get a take of him just getting out of the car and running, and Bruce Willis was like, "We're only doing this once," and then Kevin was like, "Can we do it again?" He's just like, "No, I think you got it," and he just get like those kinds of things, just like the ego. And then at one point, Bruce Willis like kind of macho man's like up to Kevin Smith and like punches a wall or something like that. And he's like, "You got a problem with me, buddy?" or something like stupid, like the alpha getting your character from movies and putting it into your real life kind of thing.
What an unattractive quality.
Yeah.
He hosted Saturday Night Live like 3 or 4 years ago. And he was, they wrote around his inability to do anything other than mumble dialogue. and like stare both eyes fully at cue cards.
Oh my God.
And so they did their best with that. But even still, like, what is he doing? Because back in the David Letterman TV show days, he would do bits. He'd do pre-recorded bits. I think he's done some for other late night talk shows too. So like in there is a sense of humor. But I feel like when he's, in costume on a stage and he's asked to perform, it just all drains away. Or his instincts are bad and wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like,
it is a bummer. But you know what? At least he's not an explosive anti-Semite like Mel Gibson. It's true. As bad as he is, he's not that piece of shit.
You're right. And like I said, apparently he's a little bit better now. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Whatever. I'm not trying to be also a Bruce Willis apologist. In this movie, he's very charming. He's so charming, handsome in this movie as well.
He is, and he's got a regular man's build. Like he's a fit man, but he's not like. There's no scene where it's like, I'm just going to take my shirt off, and you're going to see a 10-pack and like those itty bitty tiny muscles all along the sides.
Well, he kind of has that at the very end when he's holding the gun, right? Against Hans Gruber,
right?
And then he
Sure.
whips out the other gun, like behind his back kind of thing.
And you know what? When I think to the other actors that I've compared him to, like Liam Neeson and Keanu Reeves in their robot roles, they don't do that either. So maybe that's not a point.
I don't want to see Liam Neeson with his shirt off.
No, I don't want to see Liam Neeson throw a punch. It is not comfortable. Like that man's my dad's age.
We're about to see Bob Odenkirk in the same. He's making a movie that's kind of like that.
What's that about?
Yeah. Did you see the
Bob? Are you okay?
Yeah,
Why
Bob's
did you
doing
agree
a whole.
to do this?
I just the premise is just like he's just your everyday man who also happens to kick ass.
Yeah.
Just like what? Come on, Bob. You're better than this.
That's happening more and more though, that I've noticed that actors who are sort of late career are like, maybe I can do action, which is the reverse of how you should do it. Unless you're Charlize Theron, in which case
my God.
I would watch anything she does where she holds a gun or throws a fucking punch, because that woman is perfect.
Yeah, yes, I agree.
Make all the action movies, man. If ever you want to talk tongue about Atomic Blonde,
I would love to. I've never seen either of them, and I'd love to.
In Atomic Blonde, she's Keanu Reeves and John Wick.
That's what I heard.
She's pretty, but she takes her hits. She's a bit more emotionally vulnerable, but like just a scotch. You have to squint to see it. But still. But she walks around like the hottest. Like I've had a Charlize Theron problem for a long time. So to see her be just an impeccable, and she does a lot of her own stuff because they use wide lens a lot more for her. Oh man, I'm like getting distracted by my feelings.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, like I was disappointed that she's not going to be the Furiosa prequel. Like she's not going to.
I know.
It's like, come on, you have her. You have Charlize Theron.
Oh, just look at her fucking cheekbones, man.
Okay, we got to move on because Des is getting hot and bothered over here.
It's warm. I'm warm.
Final thoughts. I mean, like we really haven't talked about Argyle, but like, do you have any thoughts about Argyle?
I love him.
Yeah,
I love him so much. He's so charming. He's such a great foil to John McClane because John McClane is trying to be so stern, and Argyle's like, "Are you getting divorced?" Like, I'm in your business. I'm totally in your business.
Yeah, just tell me. Yeah, he's just so
stranger.
And he's so like the first day they met, it's kind of like, yeah, I'll just wait outside the building for you. I'm going to wait indefinitely, basically, until you're done your business.
Use up this limo's resources or whatever. Like, I'm going to let it run. You just let the limo run for like 4 hours.
The entire time.
Yeah. No, Argyle's the best. Yeah. So the few parts near the end that I'm like, oh, maybe not perfect is, at the end of this fire and brimstone, the building blows up. People are just falling off the building nonstop. Nobody knows what's happened inside that building. John McClane walks out with Holly Gennaro. She punches the journalist, which is like, fucking love it. That guy's a piece of shit. And then they leave. They flee the scene of a crime. That's what they've done. They know he's killed people because he's been forthright about it, but he just gets in a limo and pieces the fuck out of there.
Not before he kisses his wife.
That's it. And nobody's like, can we ask you some questions? They just let him go. So yeah, I like to pretend that Argyle's like, let's go to the police department so you can answer days of questions. Yeah. Because you are the only eyewitness to an egregious set of crimes.
Hey, John McClane, why did you drop a whole thing of C4 without knowing where it would land and exploding like an entire floor as your plan?
Yes. Negligence, criminal negligence.
Like, okay.
There are people in this building.
That's what I said. There's hostages in that building. That's very reckless.
You are a lucky motherfucker. And also, I don't think in his story, he has any idea why they're doing what they're doing. Like Holly witnesses that they're thieves because she's there when they're like taking the money out or whatever. But I don't think John even knows why. And he's not like even a little curious. He's just going to murder all these guys. Like, I want to hang out with my wife. I need to reconcile.
I need to tell her I'm sorry, which was a very nice moment. That's like one of the first times you see that. Yeah.
But he doesn't say it to her. He says it to Powell.
He just says it to another person that he's never seen before.
And Powell's like, no, man. That's one thing. Some of Reginald Val Johnson's line readings are like a bit over earnest. When you think like you're a black cop in LA, you're probably not like the most. But then you find out his backstory is like he's had some emotional trauma, so that's cool too. And then he gets like the big last kill, which is so,
that was good. That was good. That was good.
Which is such a nice, and that's again like that kind of thing you see a bit more almost as a trope, where like a weaker character gets their shining moment, but that. Wasn't a thing that happened in those movies at that time. Like you said, you have your Arnolds and your Rambos who are like doing all the killing. Nobody gets another shot. So to have him be like Johnny on the spot to kill that giant ballet dancing terrorist.
That guy,
it's soothing.
The last thing I would like to shout out is that building shot with the helicopter and stuff, and how it was just a model that they used. Oh yeah, that's like it looked real because everything else was real. Yeah,
they slow it down, and you're like, holy shit, they blew up a helicopter. That's the whole top part of that building. I would love, and I bet there is in existence because everything exists. A documentary on like miniature moments shot by miniature that we as the people consuming media didn't know were shot by a miniature. And 80s and 90s are full of it because it is so dope to see. To see the live in time like shot where they're like in a parking lot, everything is cardboard, and you see it and you're like, ew, that's so cheap and gross. And then they send it to like whomever, Joel Silver, whoever it is, and he's like, oh my god. One of my favorite parts, we're talking more about the documentary than the actual thing, is when they first screen, you hear that like they screened the movie or they showed the trailer and people laughed because they didn't understand that
they booed.
Bruce Willis was going to be any good. They booed.
Yeah.
And so they see, people making the movie see the movie, but of course they think it's magic. And then they showed it to Bruce's old boss from Moonlighting, who thought like this might be the thing that kills Bruce Willis's career. And his line is like, this is the greatest movie ever made. Like, that would be so gratifying to hear from some guy who's like, I think you've made the worst decision in your entire career. But instead,
does that guy get money from now, like from Die Hard as well, or how does that work?
I don't think so. No, because it sounds like he's just the creator of Moonlighting. They just got a guy to sort of vouch for and flush out Bruce's pre-Die Hard career. Like when they make these movies, they never get anybody you really want to hear talking. Although in the one for Die Hard, they get the director, which is kind of surprising because in a lot of the other ones, you can't get near the director.
That director seemed crusty the entire time.
I love it. But he's the one who's like, it needs to be funny. He was the one who advocated for the fact that this movie needed humor in it. Because the original content, what's the word I'm looking for? The original material was like super fucking bleak.
Like the script, the original script. You know what? I was just thinking how interesting it was to see that episode. And again, we are talking about that documentary, but it's all related.
But if you like Die Hard and you, even a little bit, you need to watch this because it really talks about what a labor of love it was and how movies don't get made like this anymore.
No. That how they couldn't get Bruce Willis to be in this, he couldn't even be bothered to be in this documentary about the movie that made him.
Yeah, well, nobody does. So there's a bunch of these, and the big actors are never in them.
That's so funny to me.
It's funny to me, but it also frees people up a bit more to gossip, which I like.
Yeah,
I like the gossip.
I would love to hear Bruce Willis's take on it now, which he probably would have zero.
You think you do, but you don't, because in Bruce's mind, he's always been 64-year-old Bruce Willis. So I doubt he'd talk about the vulnerability and his fear how his friends were probably like, what are you fucking doing? He'd be like, well, this was clearly the best decision I've ever made in my life. I never once doubted myself. I aced all my takes.
I would love if he's just like, well, if I did it differently, I wish I wasn't as emotive, and I wish my character was a bit more badass. It's like, no, Bruce.
That is not why we like it. We like that you're, and he's not even a regular human man, right? He's a New York cop.
Oh yeah, he's still a cop.
And he's tough and he's got good instincts, but he fumbles and he makes I don't know. I wouldn't say he makes mistakes because he sort of doesn't. Like, even you're led to believe he's making mistakes when Hans is put on his American accent, which is a horrible American accent. When Hans is like, oh no.
I freaking love it. I love it.
He stammers his way into it, which is very realistic. Because again, for example, you and I trying to do a Christopher Walken cold. You're not going to crush it the first try.
No.
But if you're trying to do an accent, you're like, I need to sort of whisper some words to myself.
And then get into it. Yeah.
Like Chevrolet, like practice some American words. And then get into your accent before you present it in a life-threatening situation.
Yeah.
So he comes around to it pretty well. That moment, too, the first time you see that, when you're like, holy fuck. Oh, no.
That was a really cool. Yeah, there's so many good parts in this movie.
Yeah.
I think we can go on and on, but Des, I think we have to answer one final question before we wrap this up. And it's the question that just drives me crazy, but we need to hear it. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Tell me.
Yes.
Why?
Because I can attack this on tiers, but I've had this conversation because recently I just sort of posted openly, like, give me your Christmas adjacent movies. So movies that aren't about Santa and bullshit, but are Christmassy. And one of the defining characteristics that I believe is it's about family and togetherness. And a lot of Christmas movies are about reuniting and sort of making peace with your family. And that's what he's doing. So that theme is there. It's buried under a bunch of dead Germans, but it's there. and also, like, Christmas is brought up a bunch of times. He uses Christmas lights as a thing. He writes ho, ho, ho on the thing. New Year's is mentioned. Like, they don't abandon it at any point. It stays Christmassy.
It ends the final song is Let It Snow.
Yeah.
As well.
And there's Christmas stuff through it. There's a few other Christmas action movies that have been recommended to me that just, like, mention it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Then that is it. Like, Ronin apparently is a Christmas movie, but when you think about it, never comes to pass. That one of the big set pieces, which is the guy with the sweatshirt that says, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. That visual is pretty deep in the mythology. Like, that's something people truly remember. Right. And that's a Christmas thing. And they're there because it's a Christmas party. Like, Christmas is, you could take Christmas out and it would still exist as a movie, but Christmas is fundamental to some of the set pieces. Yeah.
I've always been on the side of it's not a Christmas movie, but you just heard that I didn't watch too much Die Hard, and I think it's my stubbornness of being like, fuck you. Like, I was just kind of like, it's not a Christmas movie. How can it be a Christmas movie? On my watch this time, I have succumbed to now on the side that yes, it's a Christmas movie. The thing is that I always thought, because like when I think of Christmas movies, I think of something magical. I think of something that can only be explained by the spirit of Christmas. Some sort of like, it doesn't have to be Santa Claus, although he's always a big part of it, but it's just like some sort of event in the movie can only be explained by it's Christmas, like that type of movie.
I don't agree with you, because then you're just talking about like children's movies.
Well, most of them are Christmas movies, I would say.
Yeah.
But to your point, now I'm thinking there's different layers of Christmas movies. Now my mind has expanded, because I've always thought Christmas movies are just one thing, and now I'm just like, well, this is as close to as a Christmas movie that you can get without mentioning Santa Claus and like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
In order for it to be an action movie, it can't really be about Christmas the way that romantic comedies can be, or other types of movies can be. It has to be an action movie to be an action movie.
Yeah.
And you're not going to, like, Santa's not going to go murder a bunch of people. People don't want to see that. So you just sort of set it at Christmas. I have questions that I wish were answered in the little making of thing. Like, why did they set it at Christmas?
Yeah.
Like, was that because it raises the stakes? Because it's a super easy way to raise the stakes is set it at a holiday. So when they have to shut down the grid, it's Christmas Eve, although that no one fucking cares. Yeah. Was that born from the book that it was based on? And the barefoot over glass, whose idea was that? Because that is the trademark of this movie is him having to run around barefoot. I think that is such a huge thing. Like, it speaks to, he's so vulnerable. He doesn't even have shoes.
Wow, that bothers me, because he could have put on shoes because he was in his own room.
He does. he does try to put on shoes at one point, and that's a line where he's like, I had to kill the one terrorist who has like girls' feet or whatever. So he does try to steal shoes at one point, and then it sort of becomes not that big a deal because he realizes just how bad the situation is.
Yeah.
He's just constantly trying to survive.
Yeah.
But it does speak to reason. Like, he's taking guns off these people. Like, maybe just do a quick side by side of your feet, like every chance you get.
Any chance you get. Anyways, I agree. It is a Christmas film. I have succumbed. Everyone's right. I don't like admitting I'm wrong, but here I am. Des, you're the first person to hear it.
Oh, thank you for coming around.
Is a Christmas movie.
And now you can build it into your Christmas tradition, which is what I liked so much. Is I've been trying to stay in the Christmas spirit, all month, because we deserve good things. But I want to watch a variety of movies. So that's why I tried to compile that list, where I want to watch movies that have Christmas themes, but aren't about magic and stars and bullshit. So I came up with a big list where it's like, there's a drugs and ravey movie that takes place at Christmas. Cool. I'll watch that. Or this Christmas action. Great.
So
or
you're just saying
Friends.
I've been watching children's movies for 30 years of my life and thinking
it's a conversation about what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. When I was writing my stupid Christmas screenplay, my brother and I got into a fight about how he's like, there's no magic of Christmas in this, Desiree. Like, that's because I'm an adult, Alan. He was like, Christmas magic has to be involved. I was like, it's a movie about divorce. That's not what this is.
Santa Claus signed the divorce.
That's right. He's a hot Santa, by the way. These are young people. So
so it's Kurt Russell.
No, it's like Chris Pine.
Oh, even hotter.
That's right. Well, because you have to imagine a woman giving up her life to go be Mrs. Claus, which is a fucking bleak role for any woman to be. And so it would have to be like almost the hottest man you've ever seen in your life.
Okay.
Make it believable for me, at least.
Hey. Chris Pine, very hot. Then Mrs. Claus, played by Charlize Theron. So there you go.
Ugh. No, I don't. No way. She's too tough.
She's too hot.
Yeah. She's too hot. She's unattainably hot. Now I'm just going to go stare off into the middle distance and think about Charlize Theron.
That's okay. Well, I'll let you do that in a moment. But Des, before we wrap it up, can you rate this movie for me?
I would give this... I'd give this 32 stories out of the Nakatomi Plaza out of a total of 33 stories.
Oh my God.
So it's almost the penthouse. It's almost the penthouse. And I wouldn't want to knock it down any lower because I feel like a lot of the weaknesses, as you pointed out, are because it was made in 1988. That's not the movie's fault.
That's not the movie's fault. You can't, you just have to just look the other way sometimes.
Yeah. That's it. So I can't even put my finger on the things that I really don't like about it. Nothing's truly perfect, but it's pretty fucking close for an action movie.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun. And that's what I want. I don't want to be sad during an action movie, which is my problem with like Rambo's. It's like, there are villagers that just get straight up murked in that movie. That's bad. But in this, it's like the bad guys get killed. Some good guys get killed, but the bad guys are bad.
And there's comedy, and they know when to be like, oh, this is now funny, or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And this is
the rhythm is really good about like tension, release tension, tension, release tension.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't your Liam Neeson Taken, okay?
Our
guest soon, Bob Odenkirk. So we'll see.
Why?
Stop it, Bob. Okay. Well, Des, thank you so much for. I mean, we talked way longer than I thought, but Die Hard's pretty good. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Die Hard's pretty good. There's a lot to talk about. Like usually, I don't have much to say.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is very fun. Des, give us a plug. What are the things going on that you want to plug for the people?
Tongue, I'm reading a book. It's a good book, but it's also kind of spooky to be reading right now. But I can't stop reading it, which is making Christmas difficult to execute.
Okay.
Every time I get a freed moment, I'm like on my Kindle reading this book. It's called The Wanderers. It's by Chuck Wendig, who's a sort of a sci-fi author who's written for various Star Wars series. And it's about a plague.
That's a very dark thing to be reading about now.
He wrote it before COVID, obviously. He wrote it 3 or 4 years ago. And it's escapist, but it's also right on the money about some stuff. It got a bunch of stuff wrong. For example, this specific plague, once it's killed like 100,000 people, the whole planet takes it really seriously.
Oh.
You're like, oh, no.
100,000 is a lot. Yeah.
100,000 seems like a lot, but just you wait.
Yeah.
330,000 in America alone.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares. But it's well written. It's almost like an anthology where you hear a bunch of different stories.
Okay.
There's nanobots. It's kind of sci-fi. I dig it. I'm having fun. I want to know what's going on. So I love that. And also I've been, like we were talking about Ted Lasso, Saved by the Bell. Consume any feel-good media, be it throwback stuff, like watch your Die Hard or your old episodes of Full House or whatever, like whatever feels like home to you, consume it without apology. I'm sick of people being like, I love this show. And everybody's like, I couldn't get through 20 minutes of it. I'm like, then this isn't for you, man. Like, who cares? And people who boast like, oh, I watched 5 minutes and then I stopped watching. Like, then you're a piece of shit because nothing is good the first 5 minutes.
I cannot handle those people. It's just like, wait, you gave the whole show that was recommended wholeheartedly to you. 10 minutes of your time. Yeah. It's like, you didn't try. You didn't try.
Yeah. Go into anything with an open heart and give it a shot and want to enjoy it too. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people who will go into something wanting not to like it. Then why, like, what is the point? Why are you wasting your time?
Don't watch it then. There's so many other shows out there. But Ted Lasso is good.
Ted Lasso is so solid. And I've loved Jason Sudeikis for so long. Yeah. It's so satisfying to see him play his like most charming version of himself.
Well, just you wait when he plays a stone cold killer in John Wick the Fifth, replacing Keanu Reeves. Just you wait, he's gonna do it.
That's right. I mean, it took Bob Odenkirk like 30 years to take his heel turn. So who knows?
Yeah, Jason Wick.
Sudeikis. Jason Wick.
All right. Well, Des, thanks again for being on Talking Tongue. For me, you can listen to all of the shows in the PodCavern at www.podcavern.com. We're going to have Des back in some capacity, hopefully ranking stuff as well. I would love.
Yeah, let's rank some planets.
Is there enough planets to rank?
I mean, there's fictional planets too. You can count, but I think you did that already. I think you did fictional worlds.
We did fictional worlds, but not planets. That's cool. We're doing it. I've got
takes.
I'm stealing that idea.
It's my special set of skills. I have a very special set of skills. It's that I know a lot about Jupiter.
Des, can you give the people your famous catchphrase to end 2020? Here we go.
Yippee-ki-yay! Merry Christmas.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.